Do you know how much a bartender makes in a single night standing behind 6 feet of wood pouring drinks? You've watched them work. It looks effortless. Pour, slide, smile, repeat, money in the jar. And somewhere around your second drink, you've wondered, how much is this guy actually making tonight? Here's the honest answer. It could be $40. Or it could be $1,000. In the same city, on the same night, for the same job. And the reason has almost nothing to do with skill. Today, real tip data, real venue tiers, real shift numbers, and the one decision that separates a $100 night from a $1,000 one. Let's get into it. Before we count anybody's money, hit subscribe and help me out. It's free and it's the only thing I'll ever ask you for. 10 p.m. Friday, somewhere in America. The bar is 3 people deep. Everyone wants a drink now. And behind it, one person moving like a machine. Here's the thing nobody tells you. A bartender isn't paid for making drinks. He's paid for how fast the bar can turn money. Every drink is a transaction. Every transaction has a tip attached. So the whole job comes down to one number. How many transactions can one person handle in an hour? A waiter serves maybe 5 tables at once. A bartender might serve 200 people in a night. That's the entire difference between the two jobs. Sound familiar? We covered the waiter's tip economy already. Same rules. 10 times the volume. So let's start with the boring number, then break it apart. Government data puts the median bartender wage at $16 an hour. That's about $33,500 a year. And almost every bartender in America would laugh at that number. Not because it's wrong, because it's incomplete. Government figures rely on reported income. And cash tips have a long history of quiet arithmetic. So let's use the number bartenders actually use, tips per shift. The national average sits around $150 a night. Typical range, $100 to $300. Add base pay, and a normal shift lands around $35 an hour. On a busy night at a good venue, $40 to $60 an hour is common. And here's the stat that defines this whole profession. Tips make up roughly 75 to 85% of income. The wage is a floor. The jar is the paycheck, which means the venue matters more than the bartender. So let's climb the venue ladder. This is the real story. Bottom rung, the small town pub on a slow Tuesday. Tips can be as low as $40 for the whole shift. Next rung, the dive bar on a busy night. $100 to $250 in tips. Cheap drinks, fast pours, and dollar bills stacking up. Next, the restaurant bar. Higher check averages. Steadier crowd. Percentage tips instead of singles. Then the cocktail lounge where craft matters. $16 drinks. $3 tips per drink, slower service, but each transaction pays far more. Then hotel bars and resorts. $200 to $500 a shift. Because tourists and business travelers tip like they're on vacation, which they are, and it's usually somebody else's expense account. And then the top rung, the high volume nightclub. $300 to $1,000 in one night. Same person, same skills, same 8 hours. 25 times the money. Which brings us to the most important sentence in this video. In bartending, you don't get a raise, you get a better bar. So how does a nightclub produce a $1,000 night? 2 words, bottle service. A table buys a bottle of liquor instead of individual drinks. A bottle that costs the club $40 sells for $400. Sometimes $800. Sometimes far more. And gratuity is often added automatically 18 to 22%. One table spending $4,000 generates $800 in gratuity automatically. Split among the team, but still enormous. This is why nightclub bartenders talk about tables, not drinks. And why New Year's Eve is the industry's Super Bowl. One night can equal 2 normal weeks of income. Okay, let's work a full shift behind the bar. Meet Danny. 6 years bartending, a busy cocktail bar in Denver. 4 p.m., she arrives 3 hours before opening. Because a bar doesn't open, a bar gets built. Nightly, cut citrus, make syrups, stock beer, polish glassware, fill ice wells, change kegs, count the drawer. 3 hours of unpaid feeling work at base wage only. 7 p.m., doors open. First guests trickle in. 8 p.m., the room fills. And the rhythm starts. Watch what a great bartender actually does here. She isn't making one drink. She's making 4 at once. Shaking one, stirring another, pouring a third, ringing a fourth. This is the real skill. Sequencing, not mixing. Anyone can learn a recipe. Almost nobody can run a rush. 9:15, the bar goes 3 deep. And this is where bartenders earn their reputation. Because the guest at the back must feel seen even if the drink is 6 minutes away. A nod costs 1 second and buys 10 minutes of patience. 10 p.m., cash and cards flying. And the tip patterns appear. Americans tip roughly $1 per beer or simple drink. For a crafted cocktail, $3 to $4 is common. Which reveals the strategy every bartender learns. The drink that pays best isn't the most expensive one. It's the one you can make in 20 seconds. 3 simple drinks in a minute beats 1 showpiece in 3. Speed is the multiplier. Always 11:30, a regular sits at the corner of the bar. Danny starts his drink before he speaks. Regulars are the quiet backbone of every bar. They come on slow nights. They tip on principle. And they'll follow a bartender to a new bar across town, which makes a good bartender's regulars an actual asset. 1 a.m., last call. The room thins out. 2 a.m., doors locked. And now the second shift starts. Breakdown. Wash, restock, mop, count. Bartenders finish an hour after the last customer leaves. 3 a.m., the count. Tonight's tips, $340. But that number isn't hers yet. Because of the industry's oldest tradition, the tip out. Danny didn't run that bar alone. The barbacks stocked, hauled ice, cut fruit, and never stopped moving. So barbacks receive 10 to 20% of the bartender's tips. On $340, that's $35 to $70. At busy nightclubs, barbacks often take closer to 20%, because without them, the bar physically stops. Danny's real take-home tonight, about $290, plus base wage. For 11 hours door-to-door, roughly $35 an hour, all in. Which is genuinely strong money for 4 nights a week. And that's the hidden advantage of this job. A full-time bartender often works 4 shifts, not 5. Which leaves daytime completely free. Which is why bars are full of people building something else. Musicians, students, actors, founders, artists, bartending funds more dreams in America than any grant program. Night money, day freedom. That's the real product. Now the forces nobody behind the bar controls. Weather empties a bar faster than bad music. A snowstorm on a Friday can erase a week's best shift. Sports schedules swing entire neighborhoods. A big game fills the room, then empties it at the final whistle. Seasons matter enormously in tourist towns. And January is the industry's cruelest month. Everyone drank in December. Everyone quit in January. Veteran bartenders bank December to survive February. Same lesson as the food truck, the busker, and the fisherman. Seasonal work rewards the ones who save during the good months. Now let's talk about what this job actually costs. Start with the obvious, your entire social calendar. You work when everyone else celebrates. Friday nights, Saturday nights, every holiday that involves a drink. Weddings, birthdays, and reunions happen without you. Then the physical toll, which people underestimate. 10 hours standing on a rubber mat on concrete. Lifting kegs, hauling ice, repetitive shaking for hours, and the sleep schedule that never quite matches the world. Home at 4, asleep by 5, awake at noon. Then there's the part that gets talked about honestly now. Working around alcohol every single night is its own challenge. The industry has become far more open about this in recent years. Sober bartending communities, mocktail programs, better support. A generation ago, nobody discussed it. Now they do. And there's the responsibility nobody sees on the poster. Bartenders are legally required to cut people off. Many states hold the server liable for what happens after. Which means every shift includes real judgment calls made politely, quickly, and sometimes to somebody's face. Certification courses exist for exactly this reason. It's a hospitality job with a safety license attached, which is why experienced bartenders develop a sixth sense. They read a room the way a lifeguard reads water. Who's had too many? Who's uncomfortable? Who needs a taxi? That awareness is unpaid, invisible, and genuinely valuable. Now, how does a bartender climb? Step 1. Work the right shifts. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights are the entire game. Seniority decides who gets them, every single time. Step 2. Move up the venue ladder. A great bartender at a bad bar earns less than an average one at a great bar. Step 3. Learn the craft side. Cocktail knowledge unlocks higher-end venues and better hourly rates. Step 4. Private events and weddings. $300 to $1,000 for a single event, often shorter hours with a generous crowd. Some bartenders build entire businesses on mobile bar setups. And step 5. The other side of the bar. Bar manager. Beverage director. Owner. Managers trade tip volatility for salary and stability. Many take a pay cut on paper and sleep better anyway. And a few open their own bars, which is a whole different video. Now, a quick tax note, because 2025 changed things. A federal provision now lets eligible tipped workers deduct up to $25,000 in tip income. Payroll taxes still apply. But income tax relief is real, which makes one boring habit suddenly valuable. Tracking every dollar of tips, every single night, 30 seconds after a shift beats a year of guessing. And it reveals which nights are actually worth working. Thinking of stepping behind the bar yourself? Here's the honest path. Most bartenders start as barbacks, not bartenders. You haul, stock, cut, and observe for months. Bartending school exists, but bars mostly hire on trust. They want to know you won't panic when it's 3 deep. Your first rush will feel like drowning standing up. Your 50th will feel like dancing. The job filters for one trait above all others, staying friendly while everything is falling apart, which honestly is a life skill more than a job skill. So, how do the winners win behind the bar? Rule 1. The venue is the salary. Chase the room, not the raise. Rule 2. Speed beats artistry on volume nights. Save the showpiece cocktails for slow evenings. Rule 3. Build regulars deliberately. A remembered name is worth more than a free drink. Rule 4. Take care of the barback. A good barback makes you 20% faster all night. Rule 5. Track your nights and drop the dead ones. And Rule 6. Have an exit, or a plan the job is funding. The best bartenders either love it for life or use it to build something they love more. So the final math. The number you clicked for. A slow weeknight at a small bar, $40 to $100 in tips. A typical busy night, $100 to $300. A hotel or resort bar, $200 to $500. A high-volume nightclub, $300 to $1,000 and beyond. Minus the tip out. Minus the tax man. Effective hourly, all in, $35 to $60 on good nights. Across a full year at a busy venue, $50,000 to $80,000. Government data says $33,500. Both numbers are real. They just count different things. And that gap, the cash gap, is bartending's oldest open secret. So that question you had on the bar stool. Answered, $40 or $1,000. Both true. Same night. Not because one bartender is better, but because one stood behind a busier piece of wood. That's the whole trade in one sentence. So the next time you're at a bar 3 deep, waiting, watching somebody move like a machine, remember what you're actually watching. Not drinks being poured. 200 small transactions, one after another, each one carrying $1 of somebody's rent. 11 hours on concrete for a jar counted at 3 a.m. And a nod across a crowded room which costs nothing and changes the whole night. If this changed how you see that bar, subscribe. Because next time, we're counting somebody else's jar.